All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Friday Mastermind. Every Friday, 9 o'clock, we're here to bring value. If you are a mortgage professional that wants to be the most elite, modern mortgage advisor possible, like you're in the right place. The guest today, who I'm going to bring on stage in just a minute, is someone I've actually never had a conversation with, but I've seen him on social media, and he's always said things that are super smart. He's always said things that are extremely authentic, like my favorite kind of people, just like sharp, authentic, and someone that wants to bring value. So we're going to talk about how you can use AI to bring more value to home buyers, homeowners, if you're a loan officer, to realtors. But Todd, anything you want to say before we kick off the show?
Well, I would say, AI is a huge gap that I personally have, and I feel like there's not anyone I've ever talked to who said, I don't need to learn more about it. And Dave, you're excited for every Friday mastermind, but I know you were like extra excited for this week's conversation. And so anytime that someone intrigues you at that level, I know that I've got to pay really, really good attention. And of course, I love the fact that you watch them on social and then you track them down. We normally leave that up to our good friend Deborah Bird to do.
Yeah,
Hello,
Deborah's
happy
pretty good at
Friday.
that.
Yeah, you were like stage 5 there, Dave. So I'm excited just to learn how we can provide value to all of you who are listening to assist you in giving better advice and doing some of the human activities that robots or AI can't do. And I know because I've listened to some of the things that I've seen online about Eric and from Eric. And guys, he is just as real and raw as Deb is. So this will be a great show.
Yeah, by the way,
I love the way this
I
is
think
shaping up.
he really is, guys, if that's possible. So here we go, guys. So if you've tuned into the show for any length of time, you know my backstory. I mean, I'm not like a technologist because I'm a coder and I'm a tech guy. I fell in love with technology because I'm ADD and I'm dyslexic. I'm highly competitive. Like I want to win and be the best at everything I do. And technology, was a way that I could meet with someone, uh, type a letter. I did take typing in high school, which was the best. Cooking and typing were the two most valuable classes I took in high school, and I still use them today. And I love tech because it makes me a better me. I love tech because it makes me more valuable to people, and I am supremely confident that AI is going to make people more valuable, help be their best self. And I listened to doing a prep with Eric, and he said a lot of things that I really liked, but something that I believe, like he used a cuss word. He said I can't remember if you said it's either going to make me its bitch or I'm going to make it my bitch. But it sounded like something Deb would say. And I was like, guys, that's the world we're in. If you're a mortgage professional, AI is not going to necessarily eliminate your job or take market share from you, but mortgage advisors that use technology and more specifically become really good at AI are going to absolutely take market share from you. Like I just believe that as clear as day. And so with that said, Eric Post, welcome to the show, brother.
Good morning, guys. What a fun setup this is going to be. Let's kill this. This is going to be fun to get raw down and dirty, but honestly, like talk about the things that matter, you know. And so I'm super curious what kind of questions you guys have, and from the perspective of your guys' group, what things are mattering today. And let's dive in.
So remember, guys, this is a mastermind. Feel free to put questions in either trust or in Zoom for the almost 70 people we have in Zoom right now. And then also, if you're watching this in Facebook, put your questions. And this will be a continued conversation. So even if you're watching this in the YouTube channel and you have questions on this topic, put them in chat and we will get to those questions. So Eric, let's just, because this is the first time you've been on the show and maybe some people know you, maybe some people don't, give us a little bit about your backstory
Sure.
that you think is relevant to the topic.
I'll just start with real estate. You know, I got into the space as 22 years ago or 3 years ago now. And, I fell in love with the idea of home ownership. I got right out of high school. I went in the Marines. And so I came out, I got my VA loan. I was all excited to buy my first house. And when I bought my first house, I drove up to move in and had my buddies showing up. And the agent hadn't even thought to check to make sure that the tenant that was living there had started moving out. So I rolled up to move in and the tenant hadn't even started moving out yet. So we lived out of our, freaking moving truck for a week and it was a disaster, right? So it went from this like super romantic idea of buying this first house and to this like ultimate disaster. I was like, there's got to be a better way. And so a few years later, I got into real estate and just started, trying to crank out ideas and fight against that kind of mediocrity and apathy that, kind of grabs a hold of this industry from time to time. And started a brokerage, a mortgage company, home building, land development, you name it. And so sold all of that suite of businesses in 2018, 2019. Started working on some other projects that I've been working on with the technology world. And then a couple of years ago, I was like, okay, now we're going to really serve the real estate industry, but at the highest levels we can through a technology platform and a service platform, and not just be geographically like I was restrained before. So that's how we ended up here, kind of on this side of it. No longer a brokerage owner or mortgage company owner, but as a company founder that's trying to serve. Really, what we're trying to serve, just to be really clear, is a home buyer and seller. But instead of going around the industry like a lot of tech companies, we're trying to serve the people that are serving the home buyers and sellers, the mortgage lenders and the real estate agents. And we figure if we level them up, we level their professionals experience, that the home buyer and seller is best served that way. They're not best served with more technology, they're best served with more wisdom. So we're going right through the industry to get to the consumer.
Love that. And thank you for your service. And,
Oh, yeah.
I love how that experience led you into housing. And another thing we didn't talk about in prep, but Todd and I are co-founders of a nonprofit called First Home IQ. And one thing that we're really clear on is that the wealth gap in America, it's home ownership, who owns and who rents, and it's accelerating, and it's accelerating because people that rent have a net worth of, let's just say 10-ish thousand, and people that
Mhm.
own have a net worth of over $400,000. And really, like, getting people into homeownership as young and fast as we can as an industry, I think is super important. Also, I'm going to ask you a question in a minute on this, but I want to at least lead you so you can start thinking about it. That the biggest problem isn't more down payment assistance programs. It's that people either don't know about the down payment assistance programs, or they don't know that they don't need to put 20% down to buy a home. So I am going to be asking you questions on how can we use AI to, how can a loan officer, how can a realtor use AI to create more awareness around all that? Before we specifically do that, like, why did you start Huzi? Like, why did you decide to be an AI entrepreneur? What's the why?
Um, it was the first time in a long time that I was a little bit afraid of something, if I'm perfectly honest. Meaning, it comes out and, do I love technology? Yes, but I love being in the woods more. I love being out with my dog more. Like technology, what we're really talking about today is elevating our professionalism. AI just happens to be a leverage point, a tool, and so the conversation we are using right now is AI because it's the single cheapest, least expensive, highest leverage intellectual, cognitive labor that we have access to we've ever had. And so if you could just have a team of professionals helping you now, it's not what can AI do, it's really what should we be doing, what should we be focusing on this industry. And so the reason for it is because for the first time I was a little bit scared. And when my daughter was doing homework, it was a little above my pay grade one day, some stats and calculus homework. And it was the day ChatGPT came out. And so I was like, you know what, hon, let me just take a break. Let me go see if this ChatGPT thing can actually help me. Hour or two later, I was able to help her with homework, and we couldn't find a tutor to help her. She was able to help herself, and I felt incredibly empowered as a father. She felt, now my watching my daughter feel more empowered that she was able to tackle something she wasn't able to tackle before. So that feeling of empowerment is very addictive, and I love to have people around me. I love other people around me that are empowered, and those are very powerful people that can do good for others. And so I believe in finding ways to, taking somebody in their current state and giving them an instant freaking boost, instant momentum boost to this next level. And just like when you pick up a new game like golf or whatever, it sucks when you're plateauing, but it's super fun when you're learning, and you have all that skill. So that learning, that like sense of progression is very addictive. And I knew we could do that at scale. So that's kind of was the seed of it for point it right at the real estate industry was that day with my daughter, actually.
I love that. The feeling of empowerment is addictive. Like, guys, write that down and be someone that could deliver that to consumers. Todd, any takeaways so far? Any questions you have?
Well, it's funny that we all three of us, I could see me, you, and Deb all taking that same quote and writing it down. And so that's always impactful. I think always my question when it comes to AI is, where to start. We've got loan officers on here that are watching this that are still scared to log into Chat GTP, or what would be the top 1, 2, or 3 steps that you would encourage someone to take who's just starting out on this journey?
So first of all, like I said, like I'll teach a class and people like have this idea that AI will automate this stuff and they'll end up drinking Mai Tais on the freaking beach or whatever. And I'm like, guys, all right, let's talk about this. Do we have more or less technology than we did 20 years ago? I'm like, well, a lot more. I'm like, okay, do we work more or less hours than we did 20 years ago? Well, at least many or more. So the idea that we're just going to replace all these things that we do and go drink Mai Tais on the beach isn't something that we should be even thinking about in that way. It's really doing the things that we do now in a much better, more personalized way. So first of all, just to dip your toe in, like one of the ways I like first is something personal. So with the business side, everyone gets like all hot and serious and tries to figure out what they can do to make it more. Sometimes just dipping into a new technology or new thing is do something personal, like help it with your diet, nutrition, parenting, learning something new skill with your dog, finding new hiking trails, right? And learn how to search on things through AI instead of via Google. That would be like my very first way just to dip your toe in because it's not scary. It's just something you're doing for yourself. I believe in it big for personal development as well. So for instance, I'll load in, I love books. I see, by the way, I thought those were CDs behind you, Todd, at first. When you first logged in, I was like, man,
Oh,
those are a lot
they're
of
in the drawer
CDs.
down here. In fact, I just threw them all away. I decided I'm never going to listen to those or watch them again. So
I thought that was White Snake that I saw up there on the little
Wow.
AC/DC. But we have all these books and so we read them and then we kind of purge the information. Well, so I love to use AI as an example. I have all my books loaded in there and I could quickly reference them and ask for ideas and kind of start my day off with an inspirational thought just by asking, Huzi in this case, to look through something about the Challenger sale. Here's my list of things I want to work on today. Huzi, read the Challenger sale in 5 seconds for me and give me some ideas out of the Challenger sale I can implement today.
So you're
So
a
some
challenger
very
sales
just
guy.
like
So you're a challenger sale guy.
I knew Dave would
Oh,
be on
I
that.
love that. It's one of my favorite sales books for sure.
It,
Yeah.
it is my favorite. I read it 10 years ago or so, and I think it's the standard. I love that you're
It's
a
it's
challenger sales
actually
guy.
it's actually we have a thing called Book Boost inside of Huzi. And it's the very first book I actually added for our users was the Challenger
Sweet.
Sale, actually. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. It's the
Hey,
most
and by the
real.
way,
It's not theory.
everybody listening to this, and if you have not read the Challenger Sale, like put it down. I mean, it is the standard. And Mortgage Coach is a Challenger sales tool. I mean, when I developed Mortgage Coach, I hadn't read the Challenger Sale when I founded Mortgage Coach, but through experiment, I had, I don't think I cracked the complete code because I really hadn't figured out how intentional to be about constructive tension. And that was something I evolved, but constructive tension, leadership, controlling the sales process. Guys, can't emphasize that book enough. So anyways, love that.
Good one. Good one.
D Bird,
Well,
what you got? Any takeaways? Any direction you want to take it?
Well, I kind of wanted to piggyback on your example with your daughter in the sense that where do you foresee AI taking things from like a search and a consumption standpoint where like I've been telling clients, if you're creating content that Chat GPT could easily answer, then you're going to be irrelevant because that's going to be easier instead of someone having to search and kind of look through different articles or look through multiple different accounts, they could get it immediately. So when you first gave that example with your daughter, that's where my mind went, is from a lead generation or awareness standpoint. How can we get ahead of the AI,
yeah.
or how could I even get my name in the search of an AI if someone were to type in like best mortgage professional in Dallas, Texas?
So I heard two separate questions there. First about search.
It's a loaded question. Yeah.
It's great. That's a good one. So let me tackle it in two different ways.
Okay.
I haven't used Google literally in 4 or 5 months at all to find anything, right? So I use only Huzi. For instance, I was outside working, teaching my son how to build our little office outside, and we wanted to make these special bifold doors. And I needed this hardware. Why just take a photo of what I'm looking at, give it to Huzi, and say, "Hey, help me find hardware for this." And then it goes online, it does all this stuff and sorts through all the ads and everything that's open and not, and brings me back, suggestions without me having to go get lost on Google and finding it. And there's no friction now between me and information anymore. And so search engines were great, but there were search engines that then I had to go keep searching. But AI is an information engine. And so if you just want information, you just can get right to it. So this friction between us and information is literally gone. Google is obviously amazing, but it's gone. And so like people are still focusing on SEO or hashtag optimization. That's a lost art, and people need to be thinking about AI optimization in terms of their content. So that was one thing. And then the second thing you were actually asking about is like how do I address this? Most people, I've found the biggest struggle between them and an AI is it takes a sense of curiosity that has been lost just a little bit. We're so used to just being able to say something short and sweet to Google or text our friends just really quick little things. And to interact with a large language model, which when we say AI, by the way, AI would be like saying all real estate, when really it's mortgage, title, insurance, and whatnot. So AI is more than just like ChatGPT and language. It's video generation, text generation, machine learning, those sorts of things. So what we're talking about is things like large language models, like a ChatGPT, let's just say, okay? They're not an AI that's grounded in truth. It's grounded in patterns. So for instance, if I go to ChatGPT and I said, hey, the cow jumps over it's going to say moon, like we would all say, right? That's not true. It's not physically true. It's just a pattern that's recognized in society. So if you go to an AI that's built for cattle ranching, let's say, it might say cow jumped over the fence or cattle grate or puddle. So just the way AIs work is something that a lot of people don't quite understand. Just like if you were to meet somebody for the first time, you start talking to it, you don't know its perspective, you don't know the background, you don't know its history, and so there's a disconnect. And so taking the time to like just have a curious mind about how it works and how you use words to get things in return is a really important skill moving forward. Resourcefulness and curiosity, I think, are the two biggest currencies that people are going to have. Those are the very two biggest differentiating factors that you're going to have in your marketplace. It's not your price point, it's not your interest rate, it's not your website, it's not your ability to close on time. Like what you're going to need in the future, starting today, is resourcefulness and curiosity. Those will carry you through most of it. In a closed mind is just going to set you way far back. This is the biggest gap creator we've ever seen is AI. That's the thing that really scares me about it, is that people like me and other like our customers, they're like 6, 8, 10x what they used to be, right? In their productivity and their ability to information, and their ability to get speed to lead, speed to information, speed to execution. That's no joke. That's a gap creator. Stack that up week after week, month after month, year after year. There's a huge differentiating factor in where people will end up in a year from now.
Love.
So when you say
I'm loving
speed to
this.
lead, what are y'all, sorry, Dave, it just made
No,
me
go.
another question. Because I think there's a lot of mortgage professionals who struggle with the lead generation aspect, or they've been so dependent on, referrals from real estate agents or CPAs. So are there things that you guys are doing with current databases to help with speed to lead?
Yeah, because okay, let's also talk about what ChatGPT started off being. Everyone went to ChatGPT and said, act as a marketer and do this thing.
Mhm.
Act as a copywriter, do this thing. Act as a mortgage professional and tell me this thing. That's just making yourself irrelevant, like one task at a time, one thing at a time. And so it became, you could see it was like being the 6-minute abs to mortgage and real estate, or the diet pill, right? And so that's not what it's all about. So instead of using, Huzi or ChatGPT to write content that you use on your blog, we teach our members to write 10 hyper-personalized and focused relevant pieces to 10 individuals, not just to the masses. Like I don't know if you guys have talked about like what it's gonna be like to fight for business with servicers and stuff like that coming up in the future. But what we're talking about now is you have to use AI to develop a personal relationship. What I mean by that, instead of thinking you go right to the home buyer and seller, you might look at those 10 real estate agents, and now we're going to use AI to do hyper personalized prospecting, lead generation with the agent, so you get them at the right time with the right message in the right quantity, like baking a cake. You got to do the right things at the right time, the right quantity. You just can't do the right things. So it's got to be that sort of mindset with that sort of care for your profession, that sort of care for what you're doing, and care for the other person. And that's how you'll stand out, because the content is just being pushed, pushed, pushed. It's not about content. It's about getting you just what you need at the right time. So the real estate agents that get a different experience from mortgage brokers, it's not talking about rates and talking about, but like actually understands me, knows my listings, knows my buyer load, knows where I'm at. It's a whole nother way of you, the mortgage professional in that case. So it's
So
hyper personalization.
love that. And Paul and Patrick, I will make sure, like in the by the fourth quarter of this call that we net out what is Huzi. So we'll expand on that. And this is also just to get you, you said something about how like Google's gone. And I have found myself like, I'm sure I've used Google in the last month, but I'm like obsessed with Perplexity. Like I have the Perplexity app and the Chat GBT app on my mobile phone. And I've been trying to personally discipline myself to using AI daily, like just, you know,
Okay.
because it change. I mean, like the biggest challenge to change is like we have habits, we have like this is how we do things, and like to strategically unlearn, relearn is it's hard even for me, who I feel like I'm an innovator and I'm always looking for the most efficient, effective way to do something that creates the most value and convenience for others. Like that's just like a mantra, but it's hard to change. So two questions in there. One, how is by the way, are you familiar with perplexity? Is that like,
Very, yeah.
and then you said, oh, I'm using Huzi the way I would use perplexity. Could you speak to that?
Yeah, so Perplexity, there's also two different paths that a lot of AI companies are going. Some are developing their own models. Some like Perplexity, they actually use like OpenAI's APIs and then wrap over the top of it and chisel away that doesn't not important to what they're doing for like trying to give academic research sort of level citation to their stuff and like cite sources and things like that. I think Perplexity is a great tool. Uzi actually developed like citing the sources and the Spark mode, which gave answers and explanation to your answers. We were one of the very first ones because it is more of a do as you want machine. So let me explain this. I think that mortgage officers and real estate professionals to start looking at this why in the road. Either you need to become very good at prompt engineering and very good at understanding these large language models and very good about how to interact with like ChatGPT or Perplexity, or you find purpose-built platforms that do the heavy lifting. Because if you go to ChatGPT, a lot of the frustration people have is because it's doing exactly what you are asking, but that's not what you're wanting. But people are having a hard time finding the words to go from what they're asking to what they actually want it to perform like. So that's going back the cow jumped over the moon example. You should either go to like figure out how to get something to not say jump over the moon and figure that out, or go to the industry specific sort of version, or one that's just about health and wellness, or one just about your having diabetes or whatever it is. Don't go to the general. So there's kind of this fork in the road. You need to go the industry specific stuff and take the load off you having to learn new things, or task specific stuff like Perplexity, like you just said, instead of just the general sort of chat box on Gemini and Claude and whatnot, because you'll get a better result. You know what I mean? And so at Huzi, we really talk about we're really in the human prompting business because we care about what are the responses that are coming out of it. What's the return when somebody says, I want to do this thing? If it's generic or just giving a reasonable response, that's fine. But in business, good isn't enough. We got to be excellent. We got to be doing excellent things and thinking differently. So we really care about the responses. And that's an important thing. Like Perplexity does a great job because they're purpose built for specific use, right?
Love that. And by the way, Paul, yes, loan officers are using AI right now to create marketing specific real estate agents. And I think we might get to some of that today, but I interviewed Jeremy Forcier, $120 million producer, absolutely epic producer. It was the most recent interview. We'll put a link in chat and I'll put a link down below. It was, what are his top three scripts? What are his top three scripts? And he, at the end, in the fourth quarter, I was asking him, hey, like, what's the script you're using right now to call realtors? And literally, we hit ChatGPT. I held it up while he prompted it, and he drove through about a 3 to 4 prompt process. And he's like, I'm going to use that today. So just, yes, you can do that. And ballers are doing that. Like the Jeremy Forciers of the world are using AI to as an assistant. They're not just like grabbing it, but it's a brainstorming assistant that is helping him nail it. So yeah, get after that, Paul, like big time. So before we run out of time, there's a couple really important questions I want to ask you. because I'm really passionate. Like my mission is to change how people get into debt and to help educate the next generation to be smarter about money and to want to buy their first home as fast and young as they can. Like, and help parents get their kids to buy their first home as fast and young as they can. And so I want to ask a sequence of questions on how it can be used specifically to make people smarter about financial decisions. You know, how could it be used as a collaboration tool to make smarter financial decisions? Any thoughts on that?
For sure. So as an example, like you kind of were talking about role playing a little bit. That is actually one of the great use cases. And you can like have Huzi or even ChatGPT, if you know how to prompt it, to have it role play like a certain person. Like I might want it to role play if it's a real estate agent as somebody's coming into my open house and they've had a bad experience with a real estate agent before and they're unsure about what's going on with the new NAR lawsuit, with all the things going on commission, ready, set, go. Can I get your contact information, provide enough value? We have one of our members actually had a stroke a couple years ago, and so she feels like she's a little bit slower in like what she's saying during an appointment. So she uses Suzy to role play whatever the situation that she's going into. So she has kind of like an idea of the type of topics and conversations, and she makes notes that way with Huzi ahead of time, just in the car, just talking about what she's going to talk about. So having AI, I look at it as like a cognitive prosthetic. If I want to go somewhere faster, I get my car. It's like a travel prosthetic, right? But with AI, I put that on and it's like having two of me, instantly. And people that want to build teams, I've done a ton of coaching and they never come down and say, hey, Eric, I really want the headache of hiring people and doing payroll and being responsible to do their employee check-ins. No, they know what they need done. They want more time in the day. They're really trying to say, I need more time in the day to do the things I know that need done. So they had to do it through people. AI now becomes this cognitive prosthetic that you can put on and add a whole nother person or two on top of your ability to go from idea creation to iteration of the idea to execution and getting it out in the real world. It's a 2, 3, 4, 5x process now if you really want to, right? So for instance, if somebody like one of our members, they're looking to hire a teammate, well, they use Huzi to do everything from sort through the resumes. So we have the job description there, then they loaded up the 10 resumes and just had Huzi, rank these in terms of 1 to 10 that are the most likely qualified without even having to read the resumes. Then make the list of interview questions, do the follow-up questions, create the interview process, create the onboarding process, create the 30-day check-in with the employee, create the training manuals. The whole process can be done, right, in an hour or two instead of having to sit down and just really put on your creative hat and get all this work done. It's frictionless now, right? If you have a clear understanding of where you're trying to go. If you don't, just like when you walk into Costco, you're going to be over budget and spend an extra couple of hours, buy all the stuff you don't need. Same thing. There needs to be a clear plan of what you're trying to achieve. And that clarity is what leadership is all about. And that is a skill set that people need to build themselves into. It takes guts to have clarity. And so have a lot of clarity and just have some guts and step into that thing. Get your work done fast.
Love that. Todd, any questions you have or thoughts that you want to call out so far?
Well, I would love to hear your thoughts on how would you use AI to advance financial literacy?
So first of all, like we have the world's knowledge at the fingertips. So yeah, ask me, I'm going to give you a question, but this would be like one of the questions that you'd put into a Huzi or a ChatGPT or Perplexity or something like that. And this is the kind of thing, so I'm just going to kind of keep pushing back that AI has more intelligence than all of us combined. Like truly the models we have now, like the new 1.0, like logic reasoning model, it really is. And the next model is going to be like scary smart, but it doesn't have any of our wisdom and it doesn't have any of our humanity and our experience. And that's something that's hyper important that I don't want people to underestimate how valuable those things are. So it doesn't know exactly the type of morning that person had, like when they're coming in to talk about this loan or buying this house. It knows all the process, but you are the one that should care at the human level, like what that person's mindset is before they sit down at your desk. Then you take all that wisdom that you get from your AI and mash those two things together. But one without the other is not the recipe. So when I'm building Huzi, yeah, we have the tech platform, but we have coaches, we have community, we do live calls and whatnot because it's about that human touch element that cannot be underestimated. So first of all, it's more about finding out like, well, why is that important for that individual? Like what we're talking about is broad brush strokes, and yes, that these are great. I believe in home ownership like crazy. It's the foundation of all the safe communities, having safe, affordable housing that people can live in and be proud of, 100%. But to broad brush that stroke, people are tired of hearing that, right? And so what we need to do is like, well, who's asking this question? Like, who are you? Are you somebody who's been renting for 2 or 3 years and now you're tired of it? Are you somebody who's getting pressured by your parents and that's why you know want to talk about financial literacy? There's so much more to it that you can do now with AI. Start thinking about this and do these hyper specific market messages to right to those specific people.
What if it's you're a high school kid who hates school and wants to get out of school as soon as possible, but also make money?
Yeah.
Are
So
you asking a question for one of your kids, Deborah?
Well, all four of them. But to
Okay,
that
there you go.
point, like, you know, if the school district was, and I use it, first of all, I'm like, if I would have had AI back when I was in school, would have really helped me in a lot of ways.
Oh, are you kidding me? I mean,
Ah, yeah.
I would have got good
And then,
grades.
I mean, I did my son's entire 5th grade science fair project, and I used to teach science
But you're
back in
not
the day,
supposed
but
to
I'll,
admit that, Deborah. Like,
you
that's
know
not
what?
something you
We'll,
want to
Did you
share
we'll
get an
publicly.
delete that. We'll delete that before it goes
you
live.
get an A?
You know, the title of it was The More Fizz, the More Riz. So if you're down with the lingo of the young kids, you've got to have Riz game. But to that point, like the school districts were like, they don't allow AI or chat GPT or any of those, you know, language models. And
Please.
I get it to an extent, but I'm like, how are we going to eventually teach these kids how to safely use the tool?
Yeah.
And then what
So
future jobs? I mean, school is supposed to help prepare you for, you know, your future. And I'm like, if we're not even letting them use something that's going to be as transformed, like when the internet came out, I mean, that was a huge deal. And I think this is only going to be even bigger. And yet we're not even allowing it to be in the schools, which just
Well,
blows my mind.
and by the way, it can't be bigger than the internet because it's empowered by the internet. But
Okay.
nevertheless,
Well, I just mean from
your
like the
point is made.
change
Your point is
aspect.
made.
it will have a 10x transformative impact on society than the internet did.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
it,
Well,
it truly
it's
did.
just it's accelerating. It's accelerating. I mean, the transformation is happening, and and AI is accelerating it
You know,
massively.
it's hard for our brains to process that. So we're very linear thinking people. Our brains can think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can visualize how far 30 steps are from here. It's 90 feet roughly. I can see that. But if I say how far are 30 exponential steps, most people don't understand that's from here to the moon. It's over 200,000 miles, right? So an exponential thinking is very hard for us to understand. Moore's law is all about technology, and it back in the 50s predicted this rate of speed through this exponential rate of growth. And already we have, when ChatGPT 3.5 came out, it was like 75 billion parameters and then 175 billion parameters. And now we're at 1.5 trillion, right, parameters in this latest models, and it's going to double again. That's really hard to understand the difference between trillions and billions, right? First of all, and how smart
Uh,
this is getting. And at the core of it, it's not just an AI revolution. We have two other things happening. One, it's a computation storage revolution. The chips have gotten better, faster, can store faster, and that's allowed this to happen. And two, I want everyone's shoulders to kind of lower and chill out and realize they don't have to be technology experts at this. This is actually a creativity revolution. Because now we're using words and pictures and videos and ideas and concepts. This is not about technology at all. This is about how creative you are, how curious you are to find the right words or push the right buttons to get maximum result back. It's low calorie output, to use some of these AI models to get maximum return of the output. And so it doesn't take, you don't have to know any sort of code or anything like that. You just have to know your profession and be clear on your goal. If you're clear on those two things, then either you'd hire somebody or have a system or a process for it. But now this is just another leverage, right? You only get leverage through people, systems, or technology. So this is a technology that you can leverage that happens to also have a lot of systems baked into it too. It's just more powerful than anything we've ever had access to before. But the school system, education system, legal system, financial system are all archaic institutions that need to change right now. That's the thing that bothers me the most. The
Mm.
speed of change with godlike technology, but we have got society that people like kill each other over an Xbox on Black Friday, and that's the problem. And so this disconnect between these societal institutions and how archaically they're structured and what's possible, that's the friction that I'm most concerned about, honestly, at the highest level.
Wow. So I don't think I need to ask you, but Moore's law is old school, right? Like, I mean, it's like Moore's law is dated. The concept is still sound, but it's no longer, you know, 1 year of change every 10 years, or, Moore's law, I think specifically is 50 years of change or what, 50
Moore's
years of
law just
change
was
in
the
10 years?
prediction that the exponential rise when today's computer makes the next fastest computer, makes the next fastest computer, at some point you get this exponential catapultation, and that's really what we're going through right now, like a hockey stick. And so that's what it predicted. And so when people talk about like singularity, when does a computer have all the knowledge of all of humankind, essentially, that's going to happen in just the next couple of years. That's different than the ability to do the things that people can do, to do the things that a human can do, right? Those are two separate things. But so what we're talking about is having a computer that has the knowledge and the intelligence capacity of all of humanity in just the next couple of years. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. And that, I hope that doesn't scare anybody. Like, people are real concerned about too, and I was too, is like, well, is it going to take all of our jobs? When are the robots coming? And the thing that's not talked about enough is the AI powered consumer. I'm actually think in this industry we should be more concerned about that than we are the AI powered competitor, right? And the AI powered consumer is, if we think they know a lot now or have the ability to push button and get a rate quote from somewhere, or servicers have used predictive analytics to know exactly when they can hit them up and get in front of the retail, mortgage lenders and refi booms, and they can grab them up before that we can get them. That's a real thing. That's a real thing. So if that's the case, then how do we stand on AI to also give us that advantage and think that way? And it's by hyper-personalization, and it's by being very good at your personal development. Our business is only as big as we are, and it's a reflection of how punctual we are and how professional we are and knowledgeable we are. And the charisma that gets somebody to a certain point then becomes their prison, right? Because then they can't just wheel and deal anymore. They just can't be charismatic and get people. They actually prepare and plan and structure and have SOPs in place to grow to the next level. AI can do all those things for you now.
So I just, like, if I was a mortgage professional, I've heard this conversation so far. I'm always looking for, like, what is the insight that I can use to be more valuable to people that I want to refer me business? And if you're a mortgage professional, you want realtors to refer you more business. You want CPAs and financial planners to refer you more business. And I can tell you right now that 99.9% of them are not thinking about the AI powered consumer. Like, that is
No.
not like they're thinking, how can I use it? What competition is going to come in with the NAR settlement? Our what are the new business models that are coming? I mean, those are like on every podcast. Everybody's talking about it. No one really
Yeah.
knows what's happening, but no one is talking about the AI powered. Well, not no one, but it's rare. So guys, you just got a soundbite. You just got an idea. Now you need to do the homework. Like, you can't just take what we said and parrot it. You need to be AI smart and you need to be valuable. But I mean, I really feel like that there's been a lot of good takeaways so far. Um, you know, Curiosity, we've been talking about that for a long time, like the difference between average LOs and elite mortgage advisors. They're powered by curiosity. They're asking people questions. Hyper-personalization, hyper-localization. They're giving people advice. So this is amazing. Todd, because I really want to know more about Huzi, so I want to go there soon. But Todd, is there anything you want to call out or a question that you want to get to before we just start drilling Eric on Huzi, which I'm sure will be easy for him to do?
Well, of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't say we've been talking about curiosity with our Phil Jones infatuation and the fact that curiosity fuels great conversations. And so I love this because we're taking what we know we need to do in everyday life when we're one-on-one with people, and we're trying to uh, figure out then how do we be more curious with AI, right? I think that that's, kind of one of my big takeaways, the whole phrase that you used of AI optimization. And so, I mean, I feel like that AI has really changed how we learn and consume information. You mentioned like you're loading books up into AI. So obviously that's one example of how you're using AI to improve optimization. Like number one, how would you load up a book in there? And then B, then how do you see us using that to be better?
I'll give you an example. Like, my daughter's the second year in college, and so I'm fully with both my kids. I am fully arming them exactly how to use AI, and they're going to be savages, And there is no question. Oh yeah,
Yes.
I thought
You got the real savage. You got the
Really
OG savage
unfair
right
that-
here, man. I
By the
got
way,
I got
what
a whole
badass
savage
name that
family.
is. Come on, what a cool name that would be.
It was
Um,
it was cool. Thank you,
yeah,
Dad.
it's cool. But like my daughter, okay, so she'll read the 140 pages of her history book, or book or whatever, but then she'll just load it into Huzi, and I'd talk and like literally drag and drop it, like right into Huzi. Huzi reads it in 5 seconds, 4 seconds, and she says, "Hey Huzi, create me a study guide for this. Make sure I understand the key points in here. Generate a 25 question multiple choice quiz and grade me." Right? So
Like,
she'll read the 140 questions, but then instantly has a tutor at her fingertips that she can instantly turn into and make her better with the same material. So it's with the same energy. Most people give it the book and say, read this for me, then tell me what I need to know. She's reading it, digesting, and then elevating herself exponentially above everybody in the class. So like, for instance, with Huzi,
But
we've
then,
got
so
something I
what's the
rolled out.
teacher for?
Right. Well,
I
there's new
mean,
schools that are coming out, by the way, that basically use AI. They're doing an hour to 2 hours of instruction a day. The whole rest of the day is all focused on life skills, how to work on your car, how to sew stuff, because they're using AI to cram 8 hours of material into an hour or two, and they're like a year, 2, 3 years advanced of public school system because this is how people think. It's not this linear one size fits all. AI can personalize, the knowledge base to use to help you grow as an individual in math or science or history. And it's when I say hyper-personalization, people don't quite know the power of that, right? But for instance, like when we look at Netflix, and let's say us four go to Netflix today, and let's say it shows the same shows, we might, first of all, we don't see the same shows, but second of all, we don't even see the same covers on the shows. Like mine might show, people with doing more action, yours might show people like making out because that's what you're into, right? But it knows the covers, so the covers even change, the descriptions even change, everything changes. That's AI because it's hyper-personalization. That's making our experience better and richer and more customized to me. And so it's making our lives better. But it's also making the company more money, right? Because it converts better. So that's what I mean. It's like that sort of thing. So learning with AI so I do something called 9 minutes of greatness every day. I just set aside 9 minutes of greatness and say, hey, Huzi, I want to learn more about, land development in Multnomah County. Go to their website, research the process of land development, and teach me land development for the next 9 minutes. Go. And also have a chat about land development in Clackamas County. And I have all the resources, the links to call, the information if I want to look up the website, all right at my fingertips. So every day, if you just spent 9 minutes learning a task or learning something new about rates or new program, well, you just start. If you go to a networking event, the most interesting people are the ones that are interested in life, right? They're the ones that read or have done something or have an experience and they talk about it. And those are the people that are magnetic, and that's who gets all the business. So become an interested person and you'll be the most interesting to your database for sure.
All right.
Another piece of gold.
So how do you, just real quick, how does your daughter get the history book into there? Is it just because she's got a PDF of it, so she just drags it over?
Literally just drags and drop it, or a lot of the books are online, so you can read a lot of stuff online, or ChatGPT can read stuff online, right? So you can just say go to this website for Clackamas County, or go to the website with this book and read all about it, and then come back and quiz me on it. So yeah, either way, or you have your Kindle books or your Amazon books, you have all these PDFs, so you can download tons of stuff online, just drag and drop it in, literally just drag and drop. Or like your contracts, like our customers will drag the purchase and sale agreement in. And now Huzi's memorized every line of a purchase and sale agreement in 3 seconds. So I'm bid for the road. Hey, the appliances included in this deal. What's the title company on this? And you just get instant access. I'm not fumbling through my documents. I'm not calling my assistant. You just have instant access to every bit of information about every deal right at your fingertips, right? That's the power of AI, is getting you speed to lead, speed to information, speed to execution. That's what I was talking about earlier, is that sort of frictionless access to everything.
So let's go to Huzi, and I've looked at it online, and it does agent services. So it looks like you are specifically creating a platform for real estate agents. Is that correct?
Yeah, so launched companies before, and I've sit on the board of some other startups, and the biggest mistake a lot of companies make is they try to launch with too big of an audience. And so, think about this: we share 99% DNA between agents and lenders and commercial, and most business share 98% of the same DNA. There's just certain intellectual property that's specific to that industry. So the what I'm building, if you just think about an AI product, when I say Huzi, it's just the ability to interact with all of your database, all of your people, all of your files and all of your documents. It can, help you with your schedule and put things on your calendar for you, can access the internet. The things that you'd want like a coach and assistant to know, that's really what is inside of a Who's. You're having like a chief of staff. And so we're packaging it for the real estate agents now so I can, penetrate a market, get sales, and then we're going to shift and have a slightly different version for commercial and a slightly different version for mortgage as well. But I've got people in like 100 or 200 different industries, already using the platform just as it is. So it's not,
So
it
a
doesn't just
personal
perform for people.
assistant, you're creating
Yeah.
an AI platform to act as an assistant, a personal assistant to
Yeah.
someone that's building and managing relationships and doing
It's
transactions.
So I'll even use it. I'll just sit there, be at a conference or whatever. I'll just have Uzi open up, and let's say the next speaker, is Dave Savage. So I'll be like, "Who's Dave Savage?" And so I've got your bio in front of me, so I know what you're all about before you start speaking, and then I'll make notes about you there. Or I just take my handwritten notes, right, that a card, and I take a picture with Huzi, and it takes my handwritten notes, transcribes them for me, creates an outline and next steps, and creates, puts things on my calendar. So I go from this idea that I learned at a conference to something in my calendar in 4 minutes, right? And we've got all these notebooks. I don't know about you guys, I've got notebooks after notebooks with all these great ideas and concepts and intentions. And now I just take a picture, have Uzi transcribe it, give me an outline, give me a plan of attack, and let's go. And I start to go and execute right away. And that's that momentum I was talking about earlier at the top of the hour.
Sweet. How much is it?
We charge $99 a month for everything.
So $99 a month. And then
Yeah.
you've got a room full of mortgage advisors. How should they use it, or how could they talk to their agents about it? Like, what would be the leadership you would give? Like, you're on a sales meeting in the mortgage industry, and we want our loan officers to be more valuable to real estate agents.
Yeah.
How would you recommend this every loan officer watching this tells realtors about it? Like, what would be the talk track, and what would be the why?
So one of the reasons I build Hoodie in this way too for the agent first is I don't know how and I don't know why and it's not for us to try and figure out, but the agent kind of became the center of things. Like you talked about, like mortgage lenders use real estate agents to get leads from. It makes no freaking sense because you got to be pre-approved to buy a damn house, but that's just the way it is, right? You would think it's the other way around, but it's not. The real estate agent is kind of the center of the whole thing. So we built it there. So then title and mortgage and whatnot, we're doing like train the trainer programs with title and mortgage companies that will help um, talk to agents about how agents can transform their entire business using Huzi, and then the agents do it the same way. So I'll give you an example, like I was doing a class with a title company, and we were talking about all the things that agents could do with it. Like for instance, instead of articulating their value better to a new buyer client, they can actually demonstrate, their value better to a new buyer client. So instead of showing up and then talking about the buyer broker agreement, they could show up with a detailed report about that house or about that neighborhood and walk scores and schools and points of interest and gluten-free Mexican restaurant suggestions and all that stuff to like demonstrate their competency in the neighborhood is just another value added piece. And they can have that done in 2 minutes, like with something like Huzi, right? That would take an hour for me to go and prepare and look through Google and think about all the things. And I just tell Huzi, I want to wow this buyer and show off my knowledge of the neighborhood. Boom, you have a full report, ready. Just as one example, right? So those sorts of like little things to care about the person doesn't really take a lot of knowledge. It just takes somebody to at the wheel of it saying, okay, I know your agent, you're at this brand. When I say this brand, that means you have a certain set of tools or way of doing business. You have basically this production. If you have low production, you have one set of problems. You have high production, you have another set of problems. Just feed Who's just say, this is this person. This is Eric Post, this is what they're all about. What will be the ways that I could talk about Huzi with them today? Boom, go. And everything, all the questions that you just asked is packaged for you instantly, just if you're real clear about the question. So that's how I use Huzi, is to actually build these sorts of little interactions with people by using a specific use case and in the tone of a book. And like if you use, I'm sorry, what was his name earlier? The gentleman with was it Jeremy with the scripts?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could just say, "Hey, Uzi, I want to, drill me like Jeremy today, and I want to come up with the scripts because I love the way Jeremy thinks." And you can
Wouldn't
just
that
say,
be
"I've got
fun?
this agent at me today, act like Jeremy," and boom, there you go. It's crazy.
Now, could it listen to the YouTube channel? I know one of the new technologies I'm playing with right now. Oh God, what's the name of it? It goes into the browser. I'm trying to remember the name of it. maxai.me.
hmm hmm
Pretty sweet, like literally like built into my browser. It's summarizing YouTube videos. Does your platform pull in YouTube videos?
Yeah, absolutely. Now there's also like you mentioned a good one for that. Google inside of Gemini, they've got it, the AI that can interact with their YouTube in that way too. So
Oh, Gemini
yes,
does that. I
Huzi
didn't know
could do
that.
it there. Yep, and there's lots of them. How our clients generally do it, I think is even better because you can just right click the little three dots and then download the transcript. And so getting the transcript and I just copy and paste the transcript and throw it in the chat. And I have found I get better results and you get a little bit more specific when you use a transcript that way, just personally. But there's lots of great models and these are changing and improving. So you mentioned a couple of good ones. I'd use those, but yes, Huzi does that as well. I use the transcripts too from like Zoom meetings or stuff like this. I'll copy and paste the transcript and I'll ask Huzi to rate me as a salesperson. Did I miss any buying opportunities? What should be some follow-ups that I can do based on what we talked about? Was I a good listener? Did I explain things well? And so I'm using it as a coach after every sales call to improve my proficiency in doing the next sales call. Just takes me a few minutes, 5 minutes. I do a little self-reflection, make a couple notes. It gives me next steps to do based on that call, and I'm off and running. So using transcripts I found to be very, very powerful. There's some great use cases that way.
All right, guys. So we got 9 minutes left. Here's what I want to do. One thing I want to do, I want everyone who's paying attention, which hopefully is most of you, put what AI you're using. And I'm post a poll in a minute. Like, how often are you using AI? And I'm going to do everything from daily to never. So stay tuned for that poll. We'll close out with that. Todd is using Perplexity, ChatGPT. I'm using both of those. I'm also using Fathom, Otter, and I just started playing with this Max AI. Let us know what you guys are using. I want to hear it. And Eric, I'm an advocate. I haven't used your tool yet. I'm looking forward to checking it out. I'm personally going to check it out. I want people, like, if anybody on here is using this platform so far, let us know if you're using it. Uh, I would recommend start asking your realtors, guys, this is game changing. I wouldn't be bringing this to you if I did not believe that pretty much everything Eric said, like, it will be exponential. I don't, know about his 2-year prediction and what milestones we'll get at. And I'm just saying, I don't know. I'm not questioning him.
Totally.
I'm not expert enough to have an opinion. But I am been in technology my entire professional life to be competitive, to be valuable, so that my advice matters to people. And I don't think I could live up to that standard of my advice matters. I don't think I could optimize my value to people if I am not using AI. It's just my personal belief. Um, so what, Eric, other than your tech, which obviously you built it, you love it, authorship is ownership, what are some other technologies, because you've got loan officers on here, that you just think people should be in the game on? What are, and maybe in order of, you don't need to give 10, but give us 3, give us 5 things that you want to be, you want to give yourself an edge, start doing X, Y, and Z.
So interacting with I see a lot of people are on ChatGPT. Now, I also want to say, there's people that go to the gym and go to the gym for an hour, and there's people that go to the gym for an hour, right? There's people that have a relationship with their spouse, and there's people that really have a relationship with their spouse. So when we say, yeah, use ChatGPT, I'm talking about more of them like just creating some social media content. So as an example, a lot of people will talk about social media. I'm going to answer your question here. I'm not going to name any platforms that generate social media content because anybody can do that. That's amateurish. I think what AI is good for is creating an experience that makes the consumer want to post about you and do the promotion for you. Most people are using AI to promote themselves. And a real professional will use AI to create an experience that the consumer posts about them and do the promotion for them. And I'll be very clear about that because we talk about branding a lot, but branding is really the constant experience that somebody has with you, right? It's not your logo and what's on your business card. It's your interaction that you have with that, especially in a service level business. So I'm not going to talk about content creation for social media. Does Huzi do all that? Sure, of course, but that's weak. That's no big deal, right? So some of the other technologies I'd really focus on would be the video generation and image generation, whether it's the Pika or the Runway MLs, or especially like Midjourney is an obvious one, Dolly, through ChatGPT. Those four would
Did
be
you
the
hear about
ones.
some of the YouTube updates that are about to come out?
What would
Major,
you hear?
Just, I mean, one with the communities is probably my favorite. It's going to be a lot more similar to Facebook. And that's been my biggest challenge with YouTube is it doesn't really create that sense of belonging or tribe. It was more a place to go to learn. So Dave, I was even thinking about these calls, but then also the AI with being able to create like 6-second videos to help with your, whether it's with shorts or your long form content. I mean, the inspiration tab is getting a big facelift.
I would say that short form content is great for likes and views and clicks and initial brand impression, but all of your customers will come from long form video on like YouTube and whatnot. The consumer needs at least 7 hours to consume your information online before they really want to buy you as a service professional. That doesn't come through just 6-second TikTok videos. You get viral clips and whatnot. Look at people's followings. They got 10,000 followers on Instagram. 90% of those are mortgage professionals and other realtors and title people saying, "Hey, good videos." It's not consumers, right? So, but they are looking for really deep, long relationships. And so long form video is going to be the key, by the way. And you can use platforms like Huzi or ChatGPT to help create those strategies, help create those hooks, help create, those thumbnails, help create the strips for you and whatnot. But I think that getting really familiar with the image generation and video generation now is going to be a really good idea for anybody that's interested in marketing. Like right now, I write all my music. I love writing music. I write tons of poems and lyrics and stuff all the time, but it's hard to get that into a song. And now, like, I'll just create, like, I'll listen to my own songs all day long. Nobody's ever heard them before, but I generated them. I wrote the lyrics, and it just takes me a couple minutes to write each song. So, having this hyper-personalized experience with music, video, photos is coming fast. You're going to be able to say, I want to watch a Tom Cruise movie about Shanghai train experience and it'll blow up all of whatever. And I want to watch it in 2 minutes and it'll be rendered a movie. You watch a 2-hour movie based on what you want to watch. It looks just like a real movie in Tom Cruise. Right.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I could tell that I would love to have more conversations and have you more active in this community. So hopefully you'll say yes when I reach out afterwards. I'm going to do a minute wrap up and then Todd, give it to you for the full win by noon. But guys, if you're watching this, you are either a top 1% complete badass mortgage advisor, or you want to be. Or maybe you don't want to be 1%, and that's cool too, but you have a goal. Like you want to hit personal goals. And I just want to be a catalyst in a community that whatever greatness is to you, whatever goal it is to you, that you achieve those goals and that you help change how people get into debt and, help people get the real American dream, which is homeownership with financial freedom. And so that means you need to be a modern mortgage advisor. These are the pillars of a modern mortgage advisor, guys. And here's something I believe before this conversation, but I believe it even more now, is that AI can help you with every single pillar here. Like there is a strategy in a way that by doing what Eric said, go beyond just one prompt, playing with AI and really whatever mastery is to you, achieve it. We've got a pillar here for technology. There will be more and more experiences to help mortgage professionals become that level 5. And then I want to remind people, what is level 5? Level 1's knowing it. Level 2's doing it. Level 3 is knowing it and doing it so well you can teach it. Level 4 is all 3 of these things, plus it's actually a personal habit. And then level 5, guys, is your results prove it. Like it's not you doing it all the time. It's like, hey, you're doing it all the time and you're getting results. So if you haven't taken the assessment, free assessment, you can either just go to modernmortgageiq.com or you can put your phone on that. It's a little free 3 to 5 minute assessment. Make sure you guys are doing that. So Todd, how do you want to wrap up today's mastermind?
Well, if you're not all fired up to go out there and try to figure out how to use AI to optimize your life just a little bit more than, I don't know where you've been for the last hour. I think that the bottom line is this, right? I love, Dave, when we walk through, that those numbers, right? Number 5 is, do your results prove it? And I do find oftentimes that I talk to a lot of loan officers who claim to be doing it, just like Eric talked about going to the gym versus going to the gym. And so I need y'all to think about, how can you really do this in order to actually be somebody who has the results that prove it? Because in the end, I love the fact that y'all show up Deborah, Dave, and I super appreciate it. But what we really want to do is help you get the results that you're after. And so I would figure out what it is that you can take from today and what's the way that you can start doing it so that your results down the road will prove it. And Eric, I agree with Dave. It was great meeting you. Hopefully we'll have you back in this community more. I will absolutely be checking out Huzi as well. And Deborah, any last minute words from you?
Go UT.
All right. Well, there we go. There we go.
Go UT. Eric, in terms of social media, like what are the channels that you would direct anybody that wants to follow you or keep in touch? You know, also feel free to tell them how to sign up for Huzi, although it looks pretty straightforward.
Yeah, you actually, if you wanted to book a demo, Danielle does our demos. She worked for me for like 12 or 13 years in the mortgage side. She's amazing. I've got two world-class coaches, Rick and Danielle. Kelly's in charge of sales, and so they do demos and we do, custom use cases and whatnot. So nothing is just blanketed. When I talk about hyper personalization, I mean that. We try and embody the things that we talk about. So you can email me too. I would say eric@huzi.ai. Just send me a personal email. We're on Instagram. We just started kicking off some social media stuff. I actually just, took down at a couple of accounts at like 500,000 followers because it was a big distraction. Social media has changed a lot lately. And I'm a big fan of using it in the right way. And I just don't want to commoditize, yourself in a certain way and soul sucking. So I want to use it for commercial purposes. Now we'll launch this week with some new social media content. But just email me, eric@huzi.ai. And I'll walk you through that little circle thing, Dave, that you just showed. I think those are great tools for being able to even visualize their business like this wheel. And if they are 1 to 5 and they give themselves a ranking of 1 to 5, you roll that wheel and that's your business. You'll see how clunky it is. You want to have them smoothed out, have them be all at the same level, right? So you could just quickly say, all right, I'm at a 3 here. I want to be at a 5. Huzi, what do I need to do in terms of this mortgage home IQ? What do I need to do to go from here to here? Do that on all steps. That's how I'd start. Just take a paradigm like this and chunks your whole business down into a nice visual graph, find out where your gaps are, and then start making a little plan with AI. I would get started on that today. It's easy.
Yeah, and what would you call it? 7 or 9 minutes of
Greatness.
greatness.
9 minutes of greatness, baby.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna add that to my
I'm
my
gonna do
morning
10.
protocols.
No, see, I
Oh,
knew
well,
it.
I'm gonna do 11. I'm gonna do
That's like
11
the
then.
people who want to win by 11:30. Come on, Deb. Come on, let's.
Slightly competitive. Just
You remember that
slightly.
Spinal Tap movie? He's like, I'm going to turn it up to 11. They turn the
Yeah.
amplifiers
Yeah,
up.
there we go. Now we're
Do it.
going. So guys, give us a reaction. What'd you think of today's call? Give a little reaction as you go. Eric, you're the man. Looking forward to keeping the
Cheers,
conversation
you
going.
guys.
Hopefully everybody got a lot of value from today. If you're not following savageinsights.com, make sure you follow that. Second or third link down is a mobile club where if you want to go from loan officer to elite mortgage advisor, get in the mobile club. I send out a couple texts per week on whatever I think is the best content to do that. So take care, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Cheers, you guys.
This is a wrap.